Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Tom Schlueter with today's Tom's Take. I want to start off today by reading three passages. The first one is from the New International Version. It's Romans 12, verse 21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. From the third letter of John, the first chapter, the 11th verse. This is in the New American Standard. Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. The one who does good is of God. The one who does evil has not seen God. And finally, from Isaiah 5, verse 20, in the Passion. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who replace darkness with light and light with darkness, who replace bitter with sweet and sweet with bitter. As I've been mentioning over the last several weeks, and not only me, but other prophets, other leaders, we are in for a real battle. Even though we won a victory on Election Day, we are in for a real battle. Because this was never about a Democrat versus a Republican. We all knew that. It was between good versus evil, light versus darkness, bitter versus sweet. It was about understanding that God has a bigger plan of releasing his kingdom, his will on earth, than does a political party. But we still need political parties. And we have seen a clear distinction between those two parties over the last several decades. We have seen one party that actually removed God from their platform, and by doing so began to go down a road which led to more and more perverse evil, to where we are now releasing a spirit of death over our nation, where we are confusing our children about their sexes, where we are allowing people to come in to actually destroy our nation and saying, that's who we are. We let people into our country. And I could go on and on and on. There is a list too long. I don't want to spend time on that. It's evil. The other party, no one's perfect. The other party's not perfect either. The other party is not what we would say would be the best solution for us, but yet it is what God has ordained to be lifted up in this hour. For they have not thrown God out of their platform. They continue to decree life. They continue to decree goodness. They continue to decree that light will overcome darkness, even though they may not use those terms. That is what is happening. Now, again, we are in a situation where we recognize that the true ruler of all the earth is our King Jesus. But I've mentioned this before, and I mentioned it in jest, but I'm not jesting. Jesus is not interested in taking over the rulership of the White House. Let me say that differently. He doesn't want to be the president of the United States. That's way below his pay grade. Sorry. But he's not interested in that. What he is interested in is that nations will come into their destinies, that nations will come to that place where they are being utilized by God to bring forth his purposes, his kingdom destinies, his will on earth. He is wanting nations to come into the alignment and the perfect purpose that he had from them when they were conceived as a nation. And through all of their imperfections, God still calls them and calls them into their destiny, just as he has done with Israel. So he wants to do with the United States, but he wants to do that with all nations. So it's not, oh, it's just us and Israel. No, it's all nations. He desires to call them into destiny. He has promised, the Father has promised the Son, that you are to inherit all the nations of the earth. And believe me, the Son doesn't want nations that are perverse with evil. He wants nations that are moving towards goodness. He doesn't want nations that are overcome by darkness. He wants them to be overwhelmed by light. He doesn't want nations that when you talk of them or speak of them or maybe even eat of them, that it's bitter in your mouth. He wants nations to be sweet and holy. So this really was never about Democrat versus Republican, even though it is about that, because we still have to use the systems of the earth that the Lord has ordained for us. We are, as a nation, a republic. Yeah, we're a republic, not just a democracy, a republic. We the people. The representation is from the grassroots. And so it is up to us as the representatives, the true leaders of the nation, we the people, to make sure that we are pushing our nation towards righteousness, towards goodness, towards light, and towards sweetness and holiness. And it's a rough road. It's a hard road, because the nation, over the last several decades, has chosen just the opposite. But God. This battle over the next 3 months is going to be fierce. It has been prophesied of being fierce. It's going to be a battle between good and evil, between light and darkness, between sweet and bitter. And it's not just saying, well, if we can just win this and we can win that and we can get that vote and get this vote. No, it's about that, because that's important. But what's really important is that as the ecclesia, we continue to decree God's purposes into this nation and totally activate ourselves in the process of this nation in order to bring about a transformation of this nation. We cannot just sit back now. I've shared that with several people over the last couple of days, and I haven't noticed it, so don't worry. I'm not worrying about this, but we can't do it. We can't just sit back. We can't just get into our lazy boy and say, whew, we made it. We got a president that we wanted. Now we're sailing. No, it's not about that. It's a battle. It's a war of light versus dark, good versus evil. And we need to continue to press in, because one side wants to continue to be perverse and evil and dark, and they will try everything to dismantle God's purposes. They will deal with media issues. They will deal with court issues. They will try to go through legislative issues. They will try to convince people across the nation that even though you won, you didn't really win. You were deceived. No, we were not deceived. Light and goodness and sweetness won the day. But let's be very clear again. I believe wholeheartedly that it was because the ecclesia rose up and said, it's time for us to be who we were meant to be. That call is especially upon us here in the state of Texas, because we have been decreed and commissioned to help the process of releasing righteousness, holiness, high moral values into this nation. So we will continue to do that. And we will just be just as willing. If there comes a leader who wants to move us away from that, it will be our call again that they be removed from their leadership positions, so that the nation, states, can all come into their destiny. I was texting one of our U.S. representatives from Texas. I'm not going to share his name. He's a good friend. And as I was texting him, he wrote this back to me. It certainly was a great day for America. And thanks for all your prayers through the last few years. He was speaking to me and the intercessors of Texas, really all intercessors. No doubt the intercessors have paved the way for this victory/opportunity. I really like his last word. We have been given the opportunity to birth a nation and to bring a nation through a wartime season in the Spirit to victory. So let's continue to pray, and let's continue to make sure that good prevails over evil, light prevails over darkness, sweetness prevails over bitterness. God is moving us ahead in this hour towards the transformation and awakening of a nation and the nations of the earth. Let's get on board. Let's get this done. Let's finish this. Amen. Blessings to all of you. Have a tremendous weekend, and I'll be back with you on Monday.